Your path is lighting up like never before because now you understand what your guidance system is telling you. Now you know the power of feeling good and the pleasure of feeling good. You see, all of us are high energy people. Everyone on this planet they're all high energy, high flying people. Everyone is very good at getting into the vortex. It's the mastery is staying there. Mastery is noticing when you're in that space of high flying. Many people have called it enlightenment, in the zone, in the flow, that in the zone feeling. When you're an artist, you understand exactly what we're talking about. When you're a writer, a painter, an actor, a singer, you know when you're in the flow. You have to be in some kind of alignment when you're in the mode of creation, whether it's singing, painting, etc., etc. And so that alignment is all you need. Isn't that interesting? That alignment is all you need. And it's really interesting to be here telling everyone, big humans, that feeling good is truly something that's good. Feeling good is productive. Why does anyone have to sell anyone on feeling good? Doesn't it feel logical that if something feels good, it's good for you? But the reason why you override your guidance system is because so many big people all throughout your life have been telling you, the awards come from people who have grit and sacrifice. The best things come from hard work. And we would say, well, hard work is, there are many grounds we would agree with hard work, because you know why? Because focus is hard work. It's not easy to ignore reality long enough that you can get into the vortex, and while you're in the vortex, to milk it and stay there longer because of how good it feels, and then to get inspiration and follow through on it, and then see manifestations that everyone can behold, and then you're a master. It's hard to do that. It's not that it's hard. It's just that it feels counterintuitive when you're someone who's so used to be on the raw and ragged edge. Life is really scary and it's hard and it's so much work, and you just get tired and sick all the time when you're depending on your effort to do everything, when you're the engine. But when you understand the law of attraction, you understand that you have this entire team at your beck and call. This vortex is spinning. It's interesting because if you want to manifest everything that you want, if you want your dream life, if you need things tomorrow, whatever you want, you could have your dream life. And simply put, all you need to do is think thoughts that feel good. That's all you have to do. You just have to think thoughts that feel good. And when you think thoughts that feel good, you're in connection with source energy, most simply put. And if that's not the experience, if you're like, yeah, well, I've been feeling good, but I don't really have everything that I'm looking for, so then I must be doing something wrong. And we're like, well, that very statement is out of the vortex, and that very statement is not a good feeling statement. So then you're not feeling good as much as you say you are, or else your life would have reflected all the feeling good in your mind. Everything thoughts vibrationally. It's so interesting to be in this vibrational world because everyone is so good at observing vibrations. Everyone's so good at translating these vibrations into the sight that they see. They don't even know they're doing it. And it's very interesting because everyone is so used to looking at reality, observing the physical reality, observing the post manifestation, the things that have become, the manifestations that have turned into things, and then they sort it all into piles, what's wrong, what's right. And as they start to pigeonhole everything, they kind of lose sight of the whole understanding of being a vibrational creature, which is that you're literally molding the energy that creates worlds through these thought pathways, and your emotions let you know how on or how off you are, how you're on pitch or off pitch. It's very cool when you really realize that it's really all about emotions, because emotions are about the only way that you can translate vibration. And in this leading edge space, in this leading edge arena where you're literally turning thoughts into things, you got to stay in the vortex longer. And what does that really mean? What does it really mean to stay in the vortex longer? Because here's the thing, everyone's good at getting into the vortex. Everyone gets in there at one point or another, because the vortex is spinning and it's calling everyone, even the people who are the most angry, everyone, even the worst people on your planet, the worst people that you know. The vortex is calling everyone. But the thing is that it's always a fluke when they get in. They consider it a fluke. They consider it a stroke of luck. They consider it rare. Isn't that so interesting? Feeling good is rare. You can talk to people, and they'll tell you like they can count on their fingers how many times they've really felt that inner alignment, that bliss feeling, which is very interesting because that's your whole life experience right there. That's the true richness that everyone is reaching for. And when the emotion or manifestation is what you're reaching for, then the absence of your desire, it doesn't bother you. That's very cool, because that's the only thing that you really have to get over. You have to keep up with your desire, because you come into this life as a dreamer, as a teller of how you want it to be, as a writer of your own story. And your only work, and especially with all of these conversations through the entire archive that is this channel, where every video truly is aim to help you resonate with your source energy, acting like a bridge, because we know that it's not about right and wrong. It's not about getting you to do something versus another thing. You see, it's not about what teaching you follow, because everything truly does have value. You can sift through all of it and you can find the parts that work for you and that truly do align to a lot of the laws of the universe as we know it to be and as you are now knowing it to be, which is the law of attraction. Because it's not about right and wrong. It's not about getting you to do something versus we're not saying go or say. What we're saying is get in the vortex, line your energy up, feel as good as you can, get into that vortex and stay there for more than 17 seconds, and then you will get inspiration, because we know that that's just how it works. Inspiration comes from your inner being. Your inner being knows everything. Your inner being is telling you the coast is clear. And so how are you going to know what impulses follow until you follow some impulses that definitely came from fear, or definitely came from, channels or frequencies that were not from your vortex or from your source energy? Then you know for a fact, hey, when I have this thought and I follow through on it, then I'm not going to get something that I want. And that's the thing about your emotional guidance system. That's the thing about feeling good that's so complex to the big people, because when something feels good to you, you don't really believe that it's productive. You see, it's very interesting, because there's not much more to your life experience, and we don't mean this to reduce or to minimize or even to make small the human experience, because it's true, because you're literally harnessing energy that creates worlds. But when you're so used to your success looking like a certain way, and so you're chasing that, and you don't take a time to really think about what does success feel like, then you're truly just running on fumes. You're running on an understanding that truly doesn't work for you. And that understanding is that when my conditions are exactly the way I want it to be, then I'll be good. You become a conditional lover as a result of your programming. Ultimately, everyone was just trying to feel a little better. Everyone did the best that they could, and now you're in this leading edge space where we can truly understand that, you know what? Hey, everyone did the best that they could, but now I know more than I ever did, which is that if it feels good, I'm gonna stay there. And if it feels bad, I'm gonna do whatever I can to back away from it, to go general, to slow it down. And that's when life truly becomes fun, when you're not scared of your thoughts, when you're not like, okay, my job is to get in the vortex, so I'm gonna avoid everything, I'm gonna avoid every bad thing in the world, I'm gonna make my life about avoiding things, because that's what the message is. And we're saying it's so funny, because when you get to the vortex, and you don't have to avoid anything, because now wherever you go, there's pieces that you like. Now when you're in spaces that you once didn't like, you see the beauty. Now when you take a walk along the same path that you've been taking for many, maybe years, you pick up on different things. It's because you're picking up, you're looking at this world through the eyes of source. So then where do manifestations come into play? Because since you're so goal oriented, or you've been goal oriented, and you're so not okay with just feeling good, because in the feeling good, you almost feel because feeling good doesn't feel productive. You only feel productive when you're banging things into place. You only feel you consider productivity akin to negative momentum. So if it doesn't feel like struggle and sacrifice, it feels too easy. Then you're like, is this really what my life experiences? Just light, easy energy? And we're like, yeah, pretty much, it's easy. But the reason why it doesn't get dull is because you connect to source energy, and then you're literally in on the game with them. You're backstage at the show instead of just watching the show, and you get to see all the little pieces. You get to be in on this creation. You get to want something and then literally see it flesh out into reality. The biggest goal that a creator like you has, because you have big desires, and they're not big in terms of vibrational properties. They're just big as in we're in the vortex, and we see your desire, and we see how they connect with all your other desires, and we see just how it all comes together in that, not the one giant picture, but that one picture from that one moment that will make you make you gasp, and all of your moments will be like that. That's kind of what it is. And so it's really about learning to catch up with your desires, because catching up with your desires really just means feeling good, even though that right now it's not physically translatable to you right now, because it's like a seed that's in the ground. It's still sprouting, but you have a vibrational awareness. You know what that makes you become? That makes you become an expert. That makes you become someone who's not hoping and praying that it works out. It makes you someone who understands that, hey, what I want is real. It's there. I can vibrationally feel it. I have a vibrational connection. So now if I want to see it in the physical world, if I want to manifest it, if I want everyone to see it and be like, damn, you really did that, go you, then I just can't contradict it. I have to nurture that thought. I have to see it through to all the way to its fruition. And that's where things get really interesting, because the receiving mode truly is where that's your job. You just have to get into the receiving mode of your source. of your inner being, of your vortex, of the energy that creates worlds. And you know when you're connected, when you feel good. But it almost feels too easy, because feeling good it is really easy, because you could sit here right now and talk about how much you love your phone. You could talk about how much you love your couch. You could talk about how much you love trees. You could pick up the easiest subjects, and then you can feel how your inner being, who is also thinking about the same subject, is also what their opinion is, and how when you match, when you praise, you feel amazing. And that's because your inner being is praising everything. Your inner being doesn't see the faults in anyone, because they're tuned to the vortex version of them. They know, your inner being knows what everyone wants and what everyone has a vibration become as a result of this life experience, and holds to that. That's true upliftment. It just is. And as you really get familiar with the replenishment mode, and you stay there longer, and at first it will feel rare, and then it will feel constant, and then it will feel chronic, and then it will just feel like your normal life, so that you don't really have access to those lower frequencies. And those lower frequency thoughts, they still do come up, because every thought you think still does show up. It's your thought is where you last left it. So as these thoughts start to rise not to the surface, but as you start to interact with them, and as they flow into your experience, and as you become a match to them, then you just know a little bit more, and you just shrug, and you're like, you know what, it's you know what it is. It's like you just don't get off your high horse as much. And it's not because nothing really phases you. It's because you're just so much, because your higher frequency is just so much more practice. Isn't that interesting? So now when you're dealing with the people that you've dealt with before, now when you go to places, now when you're doing things, you always, because when you allow the vortex to train your frequency instead of reality to train your frequency, then now you're rocking and rolling, because now you have a guidance system that really works for you, because you catch it early. You're not waiting until, hey, this I just got a physical manifestation that I didn't want. You're not waiting until that. You're catching it early. You're calibrating. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna end this right here before it gets any bigger. You know how to manage your thoughts. You know how to become, fully functional. You're still very, you're still very much a part of your society, and you still have an impact, but you're not giving up your well-being. You're not giving up how you feel just to fit into another person's idea of success, because you understand that you're trying to harmonize with their long-term alignment. You're not trying to feed into their moment-to-moment alignment. Basically, you're not trying to be anyone's reason for being. You're not trying to be anyone's inner being. You want to be connected to your inner being. And it's very interesting to talk to the artists who really understand this, because when you're an artist, the creation part is the easiest part, because when you're just creating, when you're just writing that book, when you're just making that YouTube video, when you're just recording that music, that's the easy part, because you have that formula down pat. That alignment to you feels natural. Because here's the thing, a lot of the artists are prolific, because they can go into that state whenever they want, and they can create anything. But then the hard part, the part that the artist really has to get over, is the part of the market, and that's the second creation. And so the energy that they use and the alignment that was definitely present to create the art is the same connection that's required to create the marketplace. So if you're creating the art, then the marketplace is also being created simultaneously. But the thing is, the problem and the solution they're just on the same frequency. They're not on the same frequency. They're different frequencies. And so the problem and the solution is not, you want to have space. What do we mean by space? Do we mean by time? You want to have a logical and you want to make sure, and you want to have a very clear understanding of moving from one station and logging off it and tuning into another one. It's about tuning frequencies. It's because the problem and the solution, they just feel different. And so when you're on the problem, you're not on the solution. So we're like, well, you got to be solution oriented. You have to realize that throughout all of your problems, have given birth to crazy solutions that are all similar and that are all equal in velocity to the problems. So now that you're in this vortex where all of your solutions are, where their solutions are instantly created, then you're in the allowing mode. You're in the vortex. You're in that receiving mode. You feel good. You feel lighthearted. You understand that, you know what, I still want everything, and I love everything that I've created, and I love all the things that interest me. But I just know that the real prize is how I feel. The real prize is not how other people see me, because I can't take you to the bank. I can't. And by bank, I mean I can't feel good about that, because my inner being has a vision of me, and all I have to do is line up with it. So it just matters about what my inner being thinks. It's about when I'm in that receiving mode, what happens. It's just about that receiving mode to me now, and the receiving mode is so easy. But you see, that's the thing though. That's the thing that's so interesting, is that getting into the receiving mode, it is easy, because it's easy to praise. It's easy to think about things that you like, but it's not easy to solve problems. It's not easy to just completely talk about the problem over and over and have no logical and have no like time to talk about the solution. And that's the thing, you want to talk about the solution more than you talk about the problem. You want to be in the receiving mode longer, and as you stay in that receiving mode, then because you know what it is, everyone wants a condition, and then they think, okay, the alignment will just kick in somewhere, and it does. But here's the thing, is that it just takes too long. It does take, it's a lot longer. But now when you're going general and you talk about the motion and you create a vibrational field that your scientists are literally calling the field of gravity, that vibrational field as you create, it's literally like it's like a, imagine like it's like a petri dish, and what you want will grow on that. So as you create this vibrational field with your emotions, it's very general, and then the details start to fill in. That's faster because now you're having fun all along the way. Now you're the creator of your experience, because now you don't need a condition to respond to. Now you're the creator of the condition, which is what a creator is. And as you create these conditions, first vibrationally, they have to become physical. It's just a law. And as a law becomes something more to you in the way where it's clear and you just know the formula because you keep applying it and you keep getting results, then you become unstoppable. The gap is inevitable, but instead of being afraid of the gap, you kind of love the gap. It's almost like a challenge, because it's like, oh, this is a new frequency. So the molding the clay is just fun because you get so good at molding clay that there's no like freaking out. It's more like the freaking out part is lessened, and you're like, all right, time to make a new clay sculpture. And so you mold that clay of that subject, of that thought. And as you mold it vibrationally, and as you carve out a path of least resistance, because you go in the vortex and then you're like, okay, I'm connected. So that's my job. I gotta get connected. And once I'm connected, now I'm gonna think about the subject. Oh, I thought about the subject and now I bounced out of it. So now I'm gonna get back, go general, and get connected again. And then when I have time, I'll think about that subject again. And as you keep doing that, and as you keep not attacking that subject, but as you keep thinking about that subject, you train your frequency. Now you're letting the vortex train your frequency relative to that subject. And then do you know what happens? You carve out a path of least resistance, and then you get that manifestation. But life is so much more than manifestations. But yeah, it's about manifestations. But we don't want you to be so manifestation oriented, because when you're manifestation oriented, then if the absence isn't here, then you freak out. When the absence is here, then you freak out, which we don't want you to freak out, because that practices frequencies that you just don't really want. So stay in the receiving mode longer. You see, the artists know that. The ones who are masters, they're masters of that, the receiving mode. They're in the receiving more than the freaking out mode. They're in the receiving mode more than the worried mode. They're just in the receiving mode. And as you're in the receiving mode, they instinctually understand that, yes, this is all I have to do. And as everything literally starts to formulate around them, as everything really starts to fill into that vibrational field, and the vibrational field is them being in the replenishment mode, as they talk about what feels good to them, and which is that replenishment mode, and as they stay there longer, then not only do they get the manifestations, but life becomes an adventure. It feels good all along the way, and the working hard part becomes so reduced, and it's just all about fun. And you know why it's so fun? Because now you're living a life looking at all of this through the eyes of source energy, which is exactly what you came here to experience.